Namaste everyone. So let's start our class with the prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Om Bhuvava Swaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat, Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamya. ओम सहनावतु सहनौभुनक्तु सवीर्यं कर्वावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि ओम शांति 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 ओम. So Vivekachudamani, we ended our last week's class with verse number 285, where Shankaracharya ji is saying, "O learned one, as long as even a dream-like perception of the world of objects and of the experiencing ego, jiva, persists, continuously strive to deny entirely all your superimpositions." Okay? So superimposition is not knowing what reality is. Identification with the temporary. That's a superimposition. And he says entirely you got to end it, not just a little bit. Entirely. Okay, so let's start the class with the verse number 286 today. Nidriyaha lok vartayaha shabd adehe api vismritehe kvachit na avsaram datvaha chintaya atmanam atmani. Nidraya, to the sleep. Lok Vartaya, to the matters of the world. Shabd Ade, the sound, etc. Shabd means sound, that means objects of the senses. Api means also. Vismrite, forgetfulness. Kvachit, at any time. Na means not, avsaram, chance. Datvaha, giving. Chintaye, reflect or meditate. Chintan. Atmanam, upon the self. Atmani, in the mind. So he says, without giving even the slightest chance to forget the Atma, because of sleep. Sleep means unawareness. Matters of the world or sense objects reflect steadily upon the self in the mind. Okay, so this is how we will end the superimpositions. Because there are two forces which really distract us. One of them is unawareness, and the other one is concern for the worldly things. Normally, we start out on this path with a lot of enthusiasm. But then something outside of us, it could be the company with the unenthusiastic people around us, we get dissuaded. We yield to their pressure, and our own enthusiasm goes away. We become unaware. Our efforts become weaker. So in the start out, we had a lot of enthusiasm, but slowly it just withers away. So as a sadhak, we should stay alert. So inner enthusiasm also, we should keep up with it, and the outer attachment to the worldly objects, we got to be careful about, because these are the two ways our sadhana becomes weak. So sadhak should be very alert, should never allow these forces to pollute their sadhana or to weaken their sadhana. This is what he is telling us. Even for a moment, kochit means it's like a never, nor even for a moment. That's a kochit. Okay, not even for a moment. Do not get distracted. Always stay alert. Constantly, he says, contemplate upon the nature of the self in the mind. And we can do it. Aren't we contemplating the nature of these worldly things all the time? Our waking hours, our sleep hours, no matter what we are doing, we are thinking about this world. So as a sadhak, we got to turn this around. Constantly think about God. Okay. Let's look at next verse. Mataha pitrau mal udbhutam malam masamya vapuhu tyaktvaha chandalvat duram brahmi bhuye kriti bhav. Mata pitro, mother and father. We are familiar with these two words. Mal udbhutam, risen from the impurities. Mal mansamyam, constituted of flesh and impurities. Mal and mans. Vapu, the body. Tyaktvaha, shunning, abandoning. Chandal what? Like an outcast. Duram, to a safe distance. Dur. Brahmi bhut, becoming Brahma. Kriti bhav, be fulfilled. Kriti bhav means like a kritya. Be fulfilled. Realize the fulfillment of your life, or even attaining the final goal of life. That is a kriti bhav. He says, shunning to a safe distance. Like an outcast, this body which has come from the impurities of the parents, and which itself is constituted of flesh and its impurities, assert your divine Brahmic nature and realize the fulfillment of your life. We all know that this physical body has been created from the excretion of the father and the mother. We know that. And itself is a flesh and impurities. This whole body is full of impurities. Sure, we need to take care of this body. We reside in this body. But this is definitely a very unholy packet of the filth. And when he says, shun away to a safe distance, that really means, see, we cannot let go of the body, but mentally we should not be obsessed about the body. That's what he is trying to tell us. Because constantly, if we all thinking about is just body, 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 we are not shunning away. At least for a few minutes a day, we should shun away from this. Take your mind away from this body. Take your mind towards the feet of your God, feet of your Guru. Take your mind there. Even though you are still residing in it, but mind has that control. Mind is such a devata, such a master. So that's what he's asking us. Give up our identification with the body. Because we are not the body. And the moment we accomplish this full detachment, mental detachment, he says we become of the nature of Brahm, Brahma Bhut. Today, we are not able to understand this reality because our identification is with our flesh. Not even our flesh, our relatives. Anybody we love, we identify with their flesh also. And what happens? Subsequently, we become a slave to this flesh. And we cater to its endless demands also. Because as a slave, we will do whatever it takes. But if we can accomplish this, what he is saying, he says, you become krita kritya. Whatever had to be done, you'll know that I have done. You become kriti. And that's what he's saying. He's saying, may you become that Brahmi Bhav after experiencing this Atam Bhav. Transcending all these lower emotions, lower attachment. And once this is experienced, all our seeking come to an end. We will no more be anxious to acquire, to possess, or to hold. Because all of these anxieties, where are they coming from? Anxieties are coming from the identification with the body or with the mind. So in this particular verse, he is showing us the reward for the sadhana, this kind of a sacrifice, a sense of a complete satisfaction, a sense of fulfillment, perfect in its totally satisfying joy. So it's a beautiful word. He says, Brahmi bhuye kriti bhava. Kriti bhava. Next verse, 288. Ghatakasham mahakashe iv atmanam paratmane vilapye akhand bhavena tushneem bhav sadamune. Ghatakash, the pot space. Okay, Akash means the space, Ghat means a pot, pot space. Mahakash, infinite space, Maha-Akash. Iv means like, Atmanam, the finite ego. Paratmane, supreme self. Vilapye, having merged. Akhand bhaven, meditating on their identity. Tushneem, peaceful. And this is the verse number 288. Bhav means be, sada, forever. Mune, O sage. Merging the finite ego in the supreme self, like the pot space in the infinite space. By meditating on their identity, be forever peaceful, O sage. So he's showing us how to, we all are looking for that peacefulness, ever peacefulness, not just a momentary peacefulness, eternal peace, akhand shanti. That's what we want. And he said, this is how you're going to get that, akhand shanti. Okay, so these two terms we often read in these scriptures, Ghat Akash and Maha Akash. So Ghat Akash is the space enclosed by the pot. Any kind of a pot, any kind of a jar, that space inside. And Mahakash is the total space of the universe outside. And in the total space is what? Their sun is there, or many, many suns are there, the moon, the solar systems are there, stars, earth, they're all there. They're moving in the Mahakash. They're moving in a space. That's why we say that space is all pervading, is one without a second. Because it allows the other things to exist in it. That's why it's a Mahakash, infinite space. Okay. And then the part space is limited. Even though the total space, we call it unlimited. Part space in this reference is limited. So part space is conditioned by the part, the total space is conditioned by nothing. There's no walls around this total space. What happens if the part is broken? Part space become one with the Mahakash. That's what happens. In fact, if you think about it, part space was never separate from the total space. It was always part of it. But while the part existed, it seems like there's a part space and there is a outer space. And that's how we are too. We are never separate from God. We are just conditioned that physical body is me, and this is me, the Atma, even though our awareness reached to that level, my Atma and your Atma. There's no difference between the Atma to the Atma. It's like there's no difference between the part space and some other part space. It's the same. So the concept of individuality has arisen because of the consciousness identifying with the physical body. And we think me, mine. So this great Rishi is telling us, by meditating upon this, gain the quietude of the mind and your intellect. That's a tushni bhav. May the individual who's reflecting upon the Upanishadic truth become quiet, become serene. After having the experience and merging directly with that infinite. Okay. Then continuation of this, verse number 289. Swaprakasham adhishthanam swayam bhuye sada atmanah brahmandam api pindandam tyajyatam mal bhandvat. Swaprakasham, the self-luminous. Adhishthanam, substratum. Swayam bhuye, yourself becoming. Sada atmana, as that reality. Brahmandam, the macrocosm. Brahmand. Api means also. Pindam or pindandam, the microcosm. So there's a microcosm and there's a macrocosm. Tyajyatam should be rejected. Mal bhandvat, like a vessel which is full of impurities. Mal bhandvat. Yourself becoming the self-luminous Brahm, the sole substratum of all things. Reject the macrocosm and microcosm like two unclean parcels. So whether it's a Brahmand or whether it's a Pind, they both have been created. Those are the creations. We are supposed to merge with the creator. Okay. So whether it's a pind or a Brahmand, we are all familiar with the causal, the subtle, the physical bodies. We talk about it and we know that they function because of the consciousness in us, the Atma in us. Only then it can function. When Atma is not functioning, it's not there, we know that all of this is dead, inert. So this life principle, this spark of existence, that is the substratum. That is also called a dharma. So our Atma, for this light in there, is the substratum for this existence. So substratum is a self-effulgent. That's why he says a swaprakasham. It is not getting the prakash from somewhere, it's always prakashit. So substratum is self-effulgent because it's a divine consciousness, is part of God. God is self-effulgent. So is this spark of this little ansh of God also is swaprakasham. We got to apprehend this truth. We got to experience this truth. So in Sanskrit, these terms which are written over here, Brahmand, just remember that this is, when I say macrocosmic universe, that means the totality, total creation. And we don't know how big this total is actually. We don't have sharp enough instruments or subtle enough instruments to really know how big this totality is. That's why we use the word Brahmand. We don't even know about this pind actually completely. We have barely scratched the surface. So Brahmand is a macrocosm and pind is a microcosm, individual pind. That's why they say yata, pinde, tata, brahmande. Whatever is here is outside too, in a bigger portion. It's like a Choda Bhuvan over here and Choda Bhuvan there too. It is a micro and that's a macro. So the microcosm constituted of the individual physical body, or even our passions, our emotions, our thoughts, is called pindam. All of it, not just only the physical body, but mental and emotional body also, intellectual body also. So he says, transcend these two, both of them, Brahmand as well as pind. And what do we need? What do we do after that? He says, experience the supreme reality. By transcending this, only then you will experience. It's almost like somebody is standing on the edge of a pool or on a diving board. Somebody will say, you got to transcend this diving board to experience the water in the pool. Let it go. So we got to let this go. We got to learn to transcend and experience the supreme reality. Adhishthana ev shesho hi nashaha kalpit vastuhu iti pramanat. So that means that proof, the dictum proof, that what is a substratum, we will experience only when we let go of all the superimpositions. Okay. It's like that example, rope and the snake. When the rope alone is seen, the illusory snake ends. Okay. Rope has to be seen. We have to experience whether somebody turn the light on, or we take it into the light, or we touch it, only then the superimposition that it could be a snake can end. So to throw away a bundle of filth, we should have no regrets. As long as we are attached to this bundle of filth, we have not experienced. Okay? There shouldn't be any regrets. The microcosm and the macrocosm, the concepts of universality and the individuality. He says both are foul smelling. Both are filth. Let's look at 290. Chid Atmane Sadanande Deha Rudam Aham Dhyam Niveshe Lingam Utsrije Kevlaha Bhav Sarvada. Chid Atmane, the Atma which is consciousness. Chid Atmane. Sadanande, existence and bliss absolute. Deha Arudam, fixed in the body. Aham Dhyam, the I notion, the identification. Aham Dhyam. Niveshe, shifting. Lingam, the subtle body. Utasrije, discarding, rejecting, not identifying. Kevlaha, the pure. Bhav Sarvada, become forever. Shifting your identification, which is now fixed in the body, to the Atma. So our identification is the body, with the body right now. He says, shift it to the Atma, which is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Rejecting the subtle body. So even the reject the subtle, not just the physical body alone, reject the subtle body also. You are not the subtle body. May you become ever the pure self alone. So he is telling us what to do, and then he's blessing us that if you keep doing the practice, may you experience this purity. We all know our identification of the body is so deep rooted today. We do consider, we hear it, we read it, but still we think that we are the body. So that's why again and again he's telling us that totally shift your identification from the body to the Atma. You are the Atma. Okay, because we think we are this body. If we rise a little bit above, we think, no, I'm the mind or I'm on the intellect. This is none of this. Whether it's a physical body or a ling sharir, you are none of them. So shift, wake up. Basically, that's what he's saying. Because when we are dreaming, we think that we are what we are seeing in the dream. That identification is so strong at that time. But when we wake up, we know that, oh, that was just a dream. So now he's telling us, wake up from this kind of a dream, which is so illusory. You think you are this body, wake up. That's why the realized people are called awakened people. Awakening has happened. Awaken to this higher reality. How do we do that? We all know through study, through reflection, through contemplation, sincere meditation, all of that. Rise above the subtle body, Suksham Sharir also. And become the one without a second at all times, Keval Bhav Sarvada. Okay? Keval means only. Only means it's only the infinite. It's only the Atma and the Paramatma. There's no difference between the Atma and Paramatma. Keval. And that keval is not limited by time or space. This body is limited by time and space. Even causation, even mind is also limited. But that Atma, which is not limited by time or space or any other conditioning, if you can think of, it's not limited. And it's homogeneous and it's a non-dual self. So he's just keep on telling us again and again, but we need to do our sadhana. Now let's look at 291. Yatra eshaha jagat abhasaha darpanantaha puram yatha tat brahm aham iti gyatva krit kritya bhavishyasi. Yatra means there. Eshaha, this. Jagat abhasaha, the illusion of the universe. Darpanantaha, in the mirror, like inside the mirror when we see something. Puram, city. Yatha, just as. Tat means that. Brahm. Aham, I am. Iti means thus. Gyatvaha, knowing. Krit krityaha, fulfilled. Bhavishyasi, you will become. That in which there is the illusion of the universe. Just as the city in the mirror. Okay, so that means something in the mirror, the reflection in the mirror. There's no reality, it's only a reflection. So that in which there is the illusion of the universe, just as the city in the mirror, that Brahm you are. Knowing this, you will experience that fulfillment of your life. So during sadhana, when the merger with the Supreme is not complete, you're still going through the process, but it's not completeness there. The perception of the world of object will distract and disturb us also. Sometimes at the physical level, sometimes at the emotional level. But we know, somebody wise will say that there's no existence of that at all. Its existence is as real as that of a reflection of a city in a mirror. So that's why this analogy he's using over here. So the reflection in the mirror looks exactly like the object reflected. But there is we all know that lateral inversion of the object. Whenever we see something, right side looks as if it is left side in the reflection. So whenever your attention is drawn towards the world of objects, think of it as an unreal nature. Okay. Unreal means it's temporary. Because real is which was, which is, and which will be. That is real. But we all know that these natural things out there in the Prakriti, it's not like that. So world is nothing but the reflection of the Brahma. Even though it came out of Brahma, Om Purnamada Purnamidam, it did come out, but it's a reflection. There's no reality. So the difference between Brahman and the world of objects is the lateral inversion. Only consciousness is infinite. The world is finite. Consciousness is all bliss. The world is all pain. All pain. That's why the common saying, Nanak Dukhiya, Sab Sansar. You have heard that. Pain. It is, consciousness is all perfect. All perfect. There's no imperfection. The world is extremely imperfect. Okay? It keeps on changing. Change will happen only because there is some kind of a flaw in it. Otherwise, it won't change. So, having apprehended I am Brahma, let go of this illusion. That's what he's suggesting to us. And sense this supreme fulfillment of life. Let's do one more verse, 292. Yat satya bhutam nij rupam adyam chit adve anandam arupam akriyam tat mithya vapu utsrijet shalushvat vesham upatam atmanaha. Yat means that which satya bhutam, intrinsically one's essence. Satya bhutam, like your true nature. Nij rupam, one's nature. Adyam. Adyam means the original. Adyam. Chit, absolute knowledge. Advayam, non-dual. Anandam, bliss. Arupam, formless. Akriyam, beyond activities. That means that. Etye, attaining. Mithya vapu, the false body. Utsrijet, should give up. Shalushvat, like an actor. Vesham, the dress or a makeup or the mask. Upatam, assumed. Atmanaha, his. So attaining that which is intrinsically one's essence, which is absolute knowledge and bliss, non-dual, which is beyond all forms and activities, one should cease identifying with the false body. Then he gives us this little analogy here. He says, like the actor who relinquishes his dress and makeup. Okay, we are playing a role over here. But while playing the role, we have gotten deluded. We have forgotten who truly we are, and we started identifying us with the role. So he says, we should cease identifying with the false body. False in the sense that it's temporary. Okay. So go back to the reality, he says. Can we do that? Is our sadhana to that level? Can we even do this during our sadhana? During our prayers, during our meditations, during our seva? Can we do it during those moments? Can we just contemplate on it? Can we feel this bliss, who we are? Or are we constantly looking for the bliss from outside where it's not? It doesn't even reside there in the Prakriti, and we want it. We are so deluded. So that's why he's just keep telling us that all your desires, all the impulses, which are behind all the actions, watch for those. Okay, because we are deluded. But having reached this great goal, rise above the false notion, I am the body. Like an actor in a drama or in a movie. Because before an actor comes on the stage, he is so and so. During the drama, he forgets. But if he starts acting what he was in the drama, even after drama ends, what happens? Okay, so he's reminding us who we are in reality. You are the self, the Atma. But because of the dress of the body, you started identifying with this dress. Female body, male body, Hindu body. All kinds of labels we have put on ourselves. Okay, he says, just come to the reality. Definitely act your part. Act your part beautifully. But do not forget your real nature. So he's not saying that don't act your part, act your part. Okay, that's why this Guru is telling us again and again. So in true meditation, you undress yourself. That's what happens in meditation. You're undressing. I am not the body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the intellect. You're undressing. Because in this world, sure, we got to remember how to act, how to speak, how to be worldly. But during our meditations, undress. Come to live your original nature. And what is the original nature? Pure, infinite self. So few minutes of meditations like this every day give us more clarity. Okay. Now in the next segment, see, all these verses he was telling us to end the superimposition. Now starting from verse 293 all the way to 297, he is telling us that the perceived I factor, perceived I, that is false. He's going to give us some examples also, and he's going to tell us again. I mean, he opens up all these topics so beautifully. If we remember what he's talking about, what the essence of these verses are, then it's very easy for us. Okay. So let's stop it here and we can have some dialogue. Om Purnamada
Purnatam
Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Viseshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om.